everyone. In the global marketplace, success belongs to those who can adapt to change, think creatively, and build a strong, diverse network. Welcome to Igniting Minds, the Power of Knowledge. Today's our guest, Mr. Anthony Calabro. He is the Director of Internship and Practitioner in Residence at Pompea College of Business. With decades of experience, he is excel in boosting organizational performance and driving growth. Anthony kept for solving global business problem with innovation solutions sets him apart. He has lead global teams, managed multi-million dollar portfolio, and prepare future business leaders by bridging academia and industry. So join us as we explore his strategies and success and vision for the future of business. So thank you so much, Mr. Anthony, for coming on Igniting Minds, the Power of Knowledge.
Okay.
So mainly here we talk about the journey, the success and failure, how person achieving the goal, and what are the milestone, what are the failure and how we can help others.
Okay.
So knowing you have extensive experience in multiple companies, industry, and the academia as well. So, would you like to talk about a little bit about you and experience?
Well, I'm really bad talking about myself, but let me give you a Reader's Digest version.
Yeah.
I am a graphic designer by trade.
Mm-hmm.
My first 20 years in business was in direct marketing.
Mm-hmm.
We sold Macintoshes back in the day when Stephen Jobs worked for Apple.
Okay.
From there, I went to Pfizer,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a director of their creative services team, which was about 300 people strong globally.
Mm-hmm.
And then I left there and worked at Morgan Stanley for R.R. Donnelley.
Okay.
I was in charge of their creative group for a year, and then I was a salesman after that, and then I became the director of global accounts for Donnelley for 13 years. And then they all asked me to leave, and then I started teaching about 4 years ago.
Okay.
So the long and short of it is, regardless of what you want to do in your life,
Mm-hmm.
avenues will open up, and you have to be aware of those when they open, and you're going to give them a shot. As an example, after I got let go by Donnelley, I got a call from Armando Rodriguez, and Armando said, "Hey, can you teach economics to freshmen?" I went, "No." And he said, "No, you could start in a couple of weeks." I go, I didn't even like economics when I had it in class. I hated it.
Okay.
He goes, no, you can teach it. I said, "I don't know the first thing about it." He goes, "You know more than you think you do."
Uh-huh.
So he convinced me because I really had nothing else going on.
Okay.
And I was helping my wife do some other things in graphics. So I had some small amount coming in. I said, "All right, I'll give it a shot." And I can tell you the truth, I was more nervous talking to a bunch of 18-year-old kids about economics than I've ever been in my life speaking in front of a boardroom, ever.
Oh, why is that?
Because I'm an expert in what I was going to talk to the boardroom about. I had no idea what the hell I was talking about when it came to about economics. So what I was doing was reading the chapter a couple of nights before, putting my notes together, and then I'd speak to it, hopefully taking stuff I knew out of business and how it attached. I ended up finding out that I liked microeconomics better than macroeconomics.
Okay.
Macro is a little too many theories that may or may not be accurate, whereas microeconomics is something that's closer to business. I can, why do you grow? When do you decide to get to a bigger location? All those things are microeconomics things. And then after that, they call up about the stuff that I actually do know about, which is global supply chain and things of that nature. So I would have never taught global supply chain had I not started teaching economics.
Okay.
And if someone would have told me the day I left R.R. Donnelley that I was going to be teaching, I would have said, "You're out of your mind.
Correct.
I'm never going to teach. That's ridiculous. No, but why would anybody want me to teach?" So the fact that I'm here, you could thank Armando Rodriguez for that. But it's not, and I've never thought about teaching my entire life, ever.
But you are doing that.
But I'm now doing it. So and it's an interesting situation because again, had I just said, "Armando, quit calling me," I don't know what I'd be doing now, and I'm sure I'd be okay. I'm fairly good at what I do, but It has changed my viewpoint on life quite a bit. It is nice talking to people your age, right, that are here. And I've had a lot of time spent in India between Chennai and Mumbai. So the Indian side of life has been very second nature to me since about 20.
I believe like that's completely different from here. The India and the Asian side of it.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely different market.
It's a different situation, but
Yeah.
speaking to Indians for 20 years made it much easier for me to teach Indians now, right?
Okay.
So I know where you come from. Although I've never spent time north.
Yeah.
I was always in Mumbai and Chennai.
I am from Mumbai, by the way.
Okay, so I had one of the most scary experiences of my life when
my God.
when a guy picked me up from I flew from Chennai to Mumbai to meet because Pfizer had a location in Mumbai, and they asked me to fly up, so I went up to go meet the client itself, and the rickshaw that took me, or the I should say rickshaw, the taxi that took me from the airport to Pfizer, I thought I was going to die at least 3 times.
How long this was?
Oh, all I know was longer than it felt longer than it probably was, but he just drove and I couldn't figure out where he was at. I couldn't figure out the lines on the road. And you all drive by sonar, so he's beeping a lot. So he's coming up on somebody's side, he's beeping, they're moving them. It was a very, very strange way of driving to the location. So it was fun.
Which year this was?
This would have been, let's see, the first time I went to Pfizer would have been 2010.
And I must say that you should visit now. You're gonna see like complete different India.
Okay, is that good or bad or worse?
And now I would like to you decide like how it's gonna be. But it's now if you see India, it's getting so aggressive, so like in terms of infrastructure, in terms of like you.
Oh, you mean they're growing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I saw that. I saw that when I was going to Chennai. The first time I went to Chennai versus the last time I went to Chennai was 180 degrees. When I first got there, everything was being built. I got out of the airport, and this would have been about 2008, and all the roads were being built, and the skyway, the roads that were going, the clover leaves and everything else. It's like I was walking in the United States probably around 1940, 1950 when they were just building all the infrastructure in the country.
So now, like, I love to, if I can get the opportunity in future, by any chance, to take you and show my India.
Oh, I'm sure I'm sure, and I always had a great time. I was out there probably 10 or 11 times. It was very nice. And I love the food, and they took me to a couple Chindian restaurants, which were fabulous. And I never lost any weight going to India, I can tell you that.
Now you have a global experience, I would say, Asian here. And you have academia experience as well. What are the major challenge you see in being in academia industry, and you have been there like in industry where like the actual requirement of the students? So what are the major gap you see in between industry?
Well, there's a couple of gaps. So let me tell you my gap first. My gap started the minute I stopped working.
Okay.
So as much as I may like to say, here's how it works, I don't really know anymore. I've been gone for 4 years. Now, I still know guys that are working, and I bring them in to talk and as much as I can. So I kind of stay close to it. But the minute you walk away from anything, that continues down a path, right? And so you remember the path you were on, and now you're over here in a different path, and that's going over here. So I haven't been there in a long time, for 4 years.
Okay.
Now, I do understand the basic concepts of so my background allows me to have that basic concept of how it works and what's good and what's bad. I try to impart that with the people. I try to explain, come to class on time all the time.
The discipline.
Right? Yeah, there has to be a discipline in what you do. And unfortunately, that's gap one. There seems to be, and I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but there's a big gap between understanding that you need to be on time doing something, and I get this a lot. Well, the bus was late, so take the earlier bus. Like this would never you wouldn't have an argument with your boss if you were working for me in my day, and you say, well, the bus was late. I'd say, dude, take an earlier bus. That's the last time you're bringing that one up. I don't want to hear that. Get here earlier. And if that means you have to get up an hour earlier to come to work,
That's fine.
Okay, do what you got to do.
Correct.
But
You
I can't.
have to be on
You
time.
have to be here when you need to be here.
Correct.
You don't get that choice. I do.
Okay.
Now, they do make it easier nowadays. They'll allow people to have a 2 days on, 3 days off kind of thing, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you're going in, you still need to be on time.
Yes.
So you can't say, okay, I'm going to work Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at home, and then Tuesday and Thursday in New York City, and then get there late in New York City on Tuesday and Thursday. No. You still got to be on time. So that means you got to leave at 4:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the real world. Be there on time. So my concern is that there seems to be a lack of understanding that really can hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And look, when you're in competition, everything's a pyramid, right?
Correct.
When you start out, there's a whole bunch of you down here.
Yeah.
And every time you take a step up and you become a director and a vice president, there's less and less, right?
Correct.
Only the guys that get up here, only the best individuals, male or
Gonna
female,
be like on top.
you have to take care of all of those individual things that cause you to stop.
Mm-hmm.
One of them's being on time. One of
Yeah.
them's having the discipline to do what you need to do.
Mhm.
One of them's not doing C work, which is just go on ChatGPT, give me an answer, and put out. You got to think through the process.
That's one of the tool probably like you can enhance your productivity.
Yes, absolutely.
You can get the idea,
all the
but
time.
you should not rely on completely on ChatGPT or these kind of tools.
Yeah,
right?
the tools are there for that. They're tools.
Yeah.
Just like when I was a graphic designer and they came out with Quark and Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photo, it's going to destroy that. No, it's just a tool. We all use the same tool. That's all it was.
Correct.
So the same thing with ChatGPT. My tool, I use it all the time for proofreading. So I do a book every month for my wife. I used to have to wait for proofreading. Now I throw it into ChatGPT, it proofs it, and I throw it in a book. I'm done. I don't have to wait for it. It's easy.
Yeah,
it's a piece of cake. So it's good for that, but you have to know how to use it, and you have to know what you're using it for. So I always tell people, technologically speaking, you can either adapt to it or get run over by it. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I don't think people are using it correctly. I think they're abusing it because they can just ask a question and it'll give you this answer, and they think, that's great. No, that's
you have to read that.
You have to read the answer and make sure the answer is answering the question.
Sometimes it gets so funny.
Yeah.
It come across like you are writing something and then it gives that whole bunch of, and other person gets so tired of just hearing what it is. Make it to the point, save my time, save your time.
And that's the other thing. I get these a lot when I get an email, and I tried my best to explain to people when it comes to emails. Just send me, when I worked at Pfizer, I can have an email to my boss. It was 3 bullet points. Here's what I need. A, B, C choice. What do you want to do? My recommendation, C, what do you want to do? And he'd write back, C's okay, go. That would be it. He had 1,000 emails a day. He didn't have time to read these long ones. I'll get an email from somebody, and I'm not kidding you, it's this long. And as I'm reading through the entire thing, finally at the end say, hey, by the way, I won't be able to make class tonight. Just put it in a headline. Can't make class tonight. See you next week. Thank you very much. Let's move on. You don't need to tell me how great of a teacher. I don't care about all that stuff. Just tell me what's going on. So it's that to student perspective, like if you see the students right now, so if we are suggesting them, like just be to the point, concise, yes, so concise do you even fast. You want to make them like, okay, you are going completely in new zone, new company, so still you feel like they should focus on the concise or just to the point. So the emails I would send to somebody at Black Box, Micro Warehouse, Pfizer, and Donnie, all different. Black Box, we were just getting started. I mean, this is back in the 80s. Email just literally came out. Half of them weren't even using it. Mm-hmm. So we were just kind of using it as everybody uses chat today, like chat or like a text today.
Okay.
Hey, can you do this? It was real fast. And then eventually you started to realize, I guess you should write a letter. Mm-hmm. So when you got the Micro Warehouse, we started writing letters. Okay. Right? So now it was more of a formal thing because now it could be used in a court of law and it was becoming more institutionalized. But then what happened, and we're back to Pfizer, was, okay, it's got to be a usable piece of work. So you can't take up, I had an individual working for me that would write a 400 or 500 word document every single time she sent something to me. And I said, gee, just tell me what you want. It can't possibly be that expensive. It's hard. It's hard to get people to do that. So it came back full circle with Pfizer and me, which was, here's your question.
Yeah.
Here's 3 options. What do you want to do? And once we did that, I can send him 4 emails a day. He'd answer every one of them within minutes with an answer. And no, Tony, use B. Here's why. Talk to you later. And that would be it.
Okay. So
And
every company,
every
they
company's
are
different. They're different. So you just have to ask.
Yeah.
Now, my conversations inside of Donnelly were different than my conversations with the client.
Correct.
So if you worked for me at Donnelly, it would be very similar to Pfizer, very fast back there. But when I had to talk to my client, it became very formal.
Okay.
Hi, Pamela. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Julie. How are you guys doing? Wanted to keep you aware of what's going on our side of things. And I'd have a nice, but again, I kept it to a paragraph. Here's what's going on. Here's the situation we're under. Are you okay with this? Here's what I decided to do. Are you okay with that? Let me know.
Okay.
So it was a little bit more formal because it was a customer from me to you, a customer. Now, the guys I worked with, it was very fast. Hey, Jimmy, go take care of this. Hey, Tony, go take care of this. And it was very fast. So it all depends on the situation. But either way, you don't want to write. Nobody needs to read a 400 or 500 word. It's just nobody. There's no reason for that. Just keep it simple. But make sure you're getting across what you need. Whatever that is that you need an answer. Make sure you're asking the right question.
So just to concise, like for a student and viewer perspective, you have to be more disciplined. You have to be on time. So
Every
you're
time.
discussing the gap between academia and the industry.
Yeah.
So these are the 2 factors you would like.
Well, there's a lot. Okay, so on time every time, and that means not only getting into work on time, but when you have a due date, hit your due dates. When you're talking to your boss,
follow the deadline.
when you have a meeting with your boss, make sure you're there 10, 15, 30 minutes early. It all depends on the company. Some companies I worked with, you had to be 15 minutes early or you were late.
Oh, okay.
Meaning they started 15 minutes early. And if you came in 16 minutes, you were on that 1 minute, they'd shut the door and they'd lock it. You couldn't get in.
Okay.
So they were very disciplined.
Yeah.
Other companies were kind of lax. As long as you got there by 8:30 meeting, you were fine. You have to determine who you're working with. Some people enjoyed that kind of lackadaisical thing. Other companies, you had to be there half hour before the meeting.
So what was your experience when you went like from here to there, and
did
you experience these kind of things?
No, I didn't. It's funny. When I went to Pfizer in Mumbai, you got 10 o'clock meeting, it started at 10.
Okay.
I mean, it was just like, so the Pfizer culture that I was used to it in the United States,
overall,
it was the same culture there as far as due dates and turnaround times. When I went to Donnelly in Chennai, it was the same thing. We had due dates. So we took a job in from somebody in the United States. They would work, if they'd send it in at 7 o'clock at night, New York time, they'd pick it up early in the morning their time. They had to get it done by the end of their day, so it was in their email box by the next morning, right? So there were due dates every minute of every day, and due times. We couldn't miss it. If you missed that deadline, they wouldn't pay for it.
Yeah.
So we'd lose money. So there was a constant state. So when I went out there, I never saw a lackadaisical
That's amazing.
When we said 10 o'clock, I always thought it was 10 o'clock. It was never an issue. When I started here and I'd say, okay, let's get in, make sure you're here 15 minutes early, and I come in and there's literally nobody in the room, and then they all come in because the bus is late. I go, well, okay, guys, you understand, you have no control of the buses, correct?
Yeah.
That's correct. Take the earlier bus.
Earlier one.
You understand, I can't control the bus. I have no control of it.
Yeah.
You can control which bus you get on.
Correct.
So just take the earlier bus. And they kind of look at you like, well, that means I have to get up earlier. Yeah, you do. I'm here. You could be here.
Have to be here.
Yeah, if I'm here at 8:15 for an 8:30 meeting or 8:30 class, I don't know what to tell you. I made it. You got, and again, yes, I drive, and yes, I'm only 15 minutes away, but I would still be up getting the earlier bus if I knew that's what the issue was. It's not, you don't get the excuse because somebody else's issue.
Yeah.
You have to learn to play within that in that playing field and get on the earlier bus. That's very difficult for some people. It's a very difficult understanding.
So this is the human behavior, right?
Yeah.
Now, I would like to drag more attention on the skill set. Like if I talk about the skill set, okay? It's a major, every company demand a different skill set, different requirement. So based on your experience, what are the skills that you feel it's absolutely necessary for getting into the market, at least the start into the market?
So skill set one is, we've already talked about, be on time all the time.
Yes.
The other skill set is communication.
Mm-hmm.
You speak well, he speaks well, so you're not going to have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you straight up. When I talked to the guys at Donnelly and we had 8,000 people in Chennai, India. The people that move up were the ones who can actually converse very easily.
Mm-hmm.
The guys who couldn't converse, they took a longer time because they had to get better at speaking in English because they were going to be on the phone with the United States 20 times a day.
Correct.
The guys that moved up were the ones that spoke well. So
Mm-hmm.
communication is number 2. On time, and then be a good communicator. Now, number 3 is you have to be good at whatever job you're in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a business analyst, be a damn good business analyst.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a marketing person, be a damn good marketing person. The first 10 years or so in your career is going to be doing what it is you went to school for.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it'll take off whatever direction you want. If you want to be a manager, or you want to go do something else, you're going to start branching out. That's when things happen. But in that first 10 years, your job is to be the best whatever it is you went out to school to be as you can be, because they'll move you up. Right? That's when you'll be an engineer 1, engineer 2, engineer 3, graphic design 1, 2, and 3, business analyst 1, 2, and 3. And then once you get management, then you can start figuring out where you want to go and what kind of directional path you want to take. So 3, be good at what it is you do. And what be good means is you don't work from 8 to 9, or you don't work from 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. It's you're going to work from 7 in the morning till probably 8 o'clock at night, if not longer.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't do the work here, you're going to have to do it there because you're competing with people who are doing that every day.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to be able to compete much against somebody if you're only working 9 to 5 and the other guy's in 2 hours before you and 2 hours after you. That extra 4 hours, as long as he's really working, adds up over time. He's going to start passing you up, and your capabilities and his are going to go like this, and they're going to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
So 3-4 years down the road, he's getting a 2-3% response, interest or increase every year, and you're getting a 6, 7, 8, 9%, and then probably a bump when they make you manager. And now all of a sudden, he's literally half of your income, and just because he didn't want to work any harder than he was.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always taught very much, if you're going to work as hard as you can, make sure they know you're going to do whatever is needed. And so the final one is, I won't say final one, but the next one is when somebody asks you to do something, the answer is yes.
Yes.
I will do it.
Mm-hmm.
When do you need it?
Mm-hmm.
In what form do you need it?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be back.
Okay.
And then not, even if you don't know how to do it,
Learn it.
not lie, but understand what they're asking for, but go get it done. And again, whether it takes 1 week, one month, or a 90-hour work week, do it. I mean, when I started in my profession, 4 times a year we had to get some books out the door. We were working 100-hour work weeks during that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Every 4 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
It would smooth out after that, but that 1 week or 2 weeks, we were killing ourselves until we figured out how the process should run. Then we smoothed everything out and it was fine. But that's when they made us a manager and a vice president. You start running things. It's a lot easier as far as your day-to-day work.
Okay.
But to get to that level, had I not worked, 100-hour work weeks, I would have never got there. So you need to put in the time. One way or another, somebody's got to put in the time. And almost all the time, the guys who put in the most time end up moving up faster.
Okay.
That's
So
right.
if I talk about, a lot of international students are here, like the global, from every part of the world, right?
Yes.
So
47 countries, I think.
yeah, exactly. So let's talk about more on internship side of it.
Okay.
So they are absolutely fresher. How do you suggest or advise those students to approach for internship?
Okay.
So how they should start and get it?
Okay, so looking for a job, internship or job, is a job. You have to understand that. So that it's not just this thing you do on the side. It's looking for a job is a job. I've only lost my job twice in my life, where they said, okay, you got to go.
Okay.
And I had to go look for a job. And one of them was this last time, which is I ended up teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, I left Micro Warehouse. They asked me to leave because they weren't doing well, and I had to go find a job, and I got the job at Pfizer.
Mm-hmm.
And from Pfizer to Donnelly, I left Pfizer, and I got the job at Donnelly I moved over after 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So looking for a job is a job, and it's a discipline thing. Again, almost everything in life comes down to discipline. So you're going to create a resume.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to put that resume against a job description because thanks to the ability of sending out 100 resumes in an hour, the AI is taking over. So the AI sits in front of all of those job descriptions now and says, I'm going to compare what you're sending in to what's on that job description. If there's only a 10% overlap, I'm kicking you out. It's a waste of anybody's time. To fix that, you've got to go on, there's a lot of websites. One that I use all the time is jobscan.com, and it allows you to change your resume to fit the job description. So it's, instead of being a 10% overlap, it's a 70 or 80.
Okay.
Great. Now you get past that to somebody who's got a pair of eyes and they can make a decision whether to make a phone call or not. You can't put out 400 of those in a week. You're going to put out 3 or 4 a day because it takes a while to do that. Yeah, but if you take out those 3 to, and you truly do it, and not just say, because someone said to me the other day, I did 35 of these in a day. You wait a minute. You went in on your resume and did 35 individual resumes in one day to fit 35 different job descriptions.
It cannot be.
No,
possible.
there's not. No. So they're over. They over exaggerate what they're doing. So I know they didn't do any of it. So, but the people that have done that, they come back and say, "Oh, I got 2 callbacks. Within a week." And I'm like, "Okay, so how many did you send out?" "About 20." "Okay, you send out 20, you get 2 callbacks. That's not unusual. That's not unusual. If you're sending out 100 and you're not getting a callback, there's a problem in the process. And that's when I tell them, come talk to me, because at that point I'll sit there and say, show me exactly what you're doing. And then I'll usually say, okay, you're going to have to use JobScan or a company like that because you're playing right into the AI's hands. It's looking at you saying, oh, 10%.
So that means it's not even reaching to the...
Oh, no, I guarantee. If you've sent out 100 emails, I will guarantee you that nobody even knows you sent it.
Okay.
It's got kicked out by the AI, don't even bother with it.
Okay.
So our job is to get you past the AI. And that's a job unto itself. So you've got to look around, find the job descriptions you like, change your resume to that job description, send it in, and then rinse and repeat, and just keep doing that over and over. And the thing that's funny about when I use JobScan as an example, let's say I looked at job description and I put my resume against it and I fixed it. Now it's like 85%. If I took that job description and threw it against, or took that resume and threw it against another job description, it's back down to 30%. All because the terminology changed. So whether I'm a brand manager, a brand director, a director of brand management, whatever terminology, that changes whether or not that AI says, oh, you've got an overlap or not. You have to go and use the terminology they use. And as long as you use the terminology they use, then again gets kicked into the organization. So just because you change it once doesn't mean you're not going to have to change it every single time.
Okay.
And you may find that you need 2 or 3 different resumes. If you're a business analyst and you're good at business analyst, you also are a financial analyst, and then maybe you're a process analyst, or marketing analyst. Maybe you have 3 different resumes and you're going to pick each one whenever you need it. That's fine too. But either way, don't just take one resume and send it out multiple times. The chances of that working anymore are pretty much nil. Doesn't mean people haven't gotten lucky, but the chances are pretty nil that you're going to be there.
So that means like you suggest to make 2-3 resume as per your interest of area, and then
adjust each one of those accordingly to the job description.
And then apply for it rather than just using one to everywhere.
And it also, and by the way, the JobScan and other software like it, they can actually help you with the cover letter also. Oh, and by the way, cover letters, again, no, just nice, fast. I'm applying for this position with your company. I have the skill sets that you're looking for. I'd love to talk to you about it. Keep it simple, short, sweet. Move on. They don't want to read any more than anybody else wants to. But the minute they see this, I guarantee you they're going, oh, here's one I can read, right?
Okay.
And they're just humans. They've got to look at 500 resumes a day. They don't want to have to read 600 words every time they open up the cover letter.
Yeah.
So just be careful about that.
Okay. So resume and cover letter has to be concise and to the mark. Right?
Yeah. Now that being said, I also get another couple questions on the length of the resume. Should be 1 pager. If you've got more to say, put it. I mean, because it's only going to help. The good thing about the AI is it gives you can have a resume now it's 3 pages because it's going to scan that whole thing to see whether it kicks you in. So I don't really care whether it's 1, 2, or 3 pages. Just make sure you're not adding stuff
too much
for the hell of it. Make sure it's concise. But in a lot of cases, what I try to tell people with a resume, if you've got good work experience, it should be your position summary and then your work experience. education should be down below it. If you want to put your skill sets up underneath it, that's good. So summary, skill set, then your work. If you've got good work experience, if you don't, then your job, your school stuff should probably go ahead of it. But skill set needs to be up there, because if somebody's looking for a skill set,
so first they're gonna focus like, okay, what it is, to the point. We don't have time.
Yeah, look, what you want is scannability. Even whether it's an AI scanning it or a human, you just want to be able to say, I need somebody who knows R or Power BI. Yep, they got R and they got Power BI. Good, put that in a good pile. Nope, not put that. That's all they're doing. They just want some scannability. And then once they get these, they go, okay, now that I've got these 10, and then they'll start reading through the documents. Then instead of having to look at the 5,000 that they got in, they only have to really look at 10. Now they can spend their time doing what they want to do.
Okay. How would you rate the networking side? How does it help? Because these students, they come absolutely.
LinkedIn or?
Yeah, you can talk about networking is like anyway, the in-person and the...
Well, networking is huge.
You think like it's going to help student if they emphasize on networking side too?
If you can... So the answer would be, it's always good to network, but it's always good to network where you're doing something. So in other words, it's one thing for me to network in an organization like, I used to be in AIGA, which is the American Institute of Graphic Design, or graphic artists. And we'd get together every now and then, and the guys would all work, and they'd all have their agency jobs. But I would do work for the AIGA for an event or something, and I would get to work with these guys. And they go, okay, we like you, you did a good job for us, hey, are you interested in coming and work for us over here? That's when networking's great. But if networking to you is walking up and just shaking hands with everybody and then leaving, and they don't know who you... Yeah, it's not helping. So
I don't think even that is called networking.
Well, some people think it is. As long as they went and shook hands, they think they networked them out. You've got to be able to do something while you're there.
In my perspective, I feel networking is something when you know the person and person should know you.
Yeah.
Right?
Ideally.
So when you go to any events and you see like any one of the people who are very... You should connect, you feel like talking to them, and spending time with them will help you.
And over time, you get to know people more and more in the industry, and your name starts getting out there, and they ask you to speak at events or things like that.
Yeah.
That's fine. So when I was in the direct mail side, I used to speak at the DMA show every year. So I would have 3 or 4 speeches, and I'd have to go, and I got to know quite a few people, right? So, and they all knew me as the vice president of IBM, or at the micro warehouse, and I used to do a lot of work with IBM and people like that. It was nice. But when I left and that industry basically went away thanks to the internet, now I'm over in the pharmaceutical side, I start all over. They didn't know who I was, and they didn't even care, quite frankly. So I had to start all over again, right? And that was a whole other aspect. In fact, most of the people that I know now probably only know me from the pharmaceutical on. They don't even know what I did the first 20 years of my career because they weren't around.
So that means the resume, and you have to be on time. I feel networking. These are why I'm saying that, because a student has to be very much clear where they have to focus the moment they land here. Because as a knowing that ground, I understand the challenge part of students. Sometimes they mesmerize like what I'm supposed to do. I am just like sending so many mails. It's not coming up.
It's not working.
So yeah, I mean.
So what I would tell everybody, and I say this in every one of my classes, and I know he heard it more than once. There's no cookie cutter. There's just no one simple way of doing things. I really wish there was, because it makes it easy, right? Just do this and this and this, and everything works out exactly. The only real cookie cutter I can tell you is, when you got a resume, you're going to have to adjust it for every job description. That's about as close to a cookie cutter as you're going to get. Each one is going to be individually different.
Correct.
But the cookie cutter when you're coming here and you're first in the country, do a good job. Be good at your job. That's the one thing I can tell you. If you're good at your job, you get your foot in the door. If you're on time all the time, then they can trust you to come in and do the job you're good at. If you're networking with people and they know you're working for a good company and you're doing good work for them, that gets around and people will want to hire you after that. But it starts here and it builds.
Correct.
It doesn't you don't come in here. You all come in here and you got to build it. And it takes time and it's grueling, but it's the way life is. And then once you get once that foundation's set, it's actually quite fun. You enjoy it because that's when you start saying, oh, hey, I'm kind of getting stale here. There's nothing going on. What else is that? Then you can start making some calls. Hey, guys, anything you've heard of, because I'm kind of stale what I'm doing here, anything else that's out there. I went from Black Box. I started my own company. I got hired by Micro Warehouse. I became a vice president out there. Things just open up because you have a little bit more, you're confident in your ability of what you got to do, and that confidence comes through. But when you're first starting, you think that you have to start here. Every now and then you got a Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos. But even those guys, they didn't start there. They still had to start the thing down here, and they were making nothing for the first 2 years. They were living in a college dorm, for Christ's sake. It takes time. But once they get there, it goes, okay, the world kind of opens up because the guys that work harder have a much better eyesight. You can kind of see the landscape a little bit. Everybody that doesn't work hard, they stay down there. It's you're down below that canopy. You can't see what's going on. You got to get above there. And the only way you do it is you have to work your way up the tree. That's how it works.
So that means have patience and give time to yourself.
Yes.
You just came, you have to keep networking and have patience.
Patience is huge, and it's frustrating. And must please understand, no one knows it more than I have. I am 65. I've been through everything you're going to be through. Trust me, it's a pain. But just hang in there and keep grinding. As you keep grinding, sooner or later that thing breaks and it grips. And once it starts gripping, then you're okay. But that first couple, when you're first coming out brand new, we don't know you guys. We don't know whether you're any good at what you're doing. And so we're going to give you a shot. And if you come in late, and again, I can give you hundreds of situations where I hired somebody, I thought they were good, and they never showed up on time. And they were good, like their job, they were really good, but I couldn't get them to come in on time.
That's one of the drawback probably.
And so what we ended up doing was we started using a company called Aquint for the graphic design. We'd have them bring in this person, and they would work with us for a couple of weeks, and I'd see them work. And if they were good, we kept them. If they came in late, I would just say, don't bother coming in tomorrow. And I would call them up and say, send me somebody else. And then we found people that way because once we saw them work and do the job, it became readily apparent whether they could sit in with us or not. And some could, some couldn't. And that was okay. We didn't say somebody, you can't work for us and you're horrible. It's just like, look, you don't fit with us. That's all I ever say to somebody. You just don't fit. There's somebody out there that needs what you do, but it's not here. Go find, you would fit better here or fit better there. There's nothing wrong with that. Just find where you fit. That's all. That's all it is. Don't take a no as, I suck. It's just I didn't find the right place to fit. That's all it is. That's all it is. So that's where your patience is.
Okay.
Find the right fit. You'll be okay.
Yeah. So now let's talk about a little bit about the university initiative. Okay. As being a director of internship, would you like to throw a little bit light on what are the initiative we are doing, or we are probably like in the planning stage that for upcoming?
Well, my job. Most people believe my job is to get you a job.
Okay.
That's not my job.
Yeah, that's not at all like that.
My job is kind of twofold. One, we have a process that we have to follow, especially for the international students. That if you don't follow that process, you can actually get kicked out of the country. So as an idea is, you have to have a CPT on your I-20 before you start work. And just this last semester, we had 2 kids who started work without the and they got paid.
Okay.
Which is like,
wow.
You got to go. I mean, and the reason that is if we look the other way, then the government would come to us and say, that's it, you're done. We're not allowing you to do this anymore. And that would rip everything out. We couldn't bring any international students. We're not going to allow that to jeopardize us. So you got to go. And we've told them 100 times, don't do that. You have to get your CPT on your I-20 before you start the job. You cannot do it any other way. And so my job is to verify and make sure that the processes we're using are accurate and that everybody follows them. So that's process 1. Process 2 is, what can we do to help get more companies coming in to help us? So we've got places like Think Synergy and a couple other places in New Haven that are looking for summer jobs. Things like that, where they're going to come in and ask us for not just 1 or 2 people, but 10 or 15 at a time. So we're trying to find that, and I'm working with Professor Leah, who's helping us out there. So my job is to set the framework in which it makes it as easy as possible for you guys to find a job.
So probably like creating a platform, giving the platform where student can showcase their skill set, and also like,
Well, kind of.
They can
My
do
job
that.
is to basically make it so it's as cookie cutter to you as we can make it. You still have to adjust your resume per each of the job descriptions. But if someone sends me a job description and says,
Right.
Tony, I'm looking for A, B, and C, and I know 3 individuals who would fit that, then I can send that directly to A, B, and C, put your resumes into them, adjust them and put them into them. You've got kind of an inside track. Kind of thing.
okay.
That kind of. But that doesn't happen very often. Normally, you just say, hey, I need 15 guys or something like that. And Think Synergy, I think they wanted 10 this semester coming up. So just so you know, when we put those out, in 3 days, we had 26. So we had over 52 people apply for the 15 jobs at Think Synergy in Hartford. So it works. It's great.
Okay.
And they were all well funded, and they're going through the stack right now to figure out who they want to bring in for interviews. So my job is to make sure you know how to find a job.
Okay.
That the process you follow is accurate and that you don't get kicked out of the country because you didn't follow the rules.
So that means the rule and are they student going in the right direction?
Yes.
Because when they come here, if they chose analytics side of it, so they have to be at that side.
Yeah.
Rather than just jumping into the other side of the industry.
Right. Yeah. So if you're here, one of the major functions is if you come for, we'll just use, as you said, analyst. If you come in as a business analyst, you can't get a job as a greeter at Walmart as a CPT, because it's that CPT basically says, in place of a regular curriculum, this job is going to teach me the same thing, but as a job. The government says, great, if you can get a job that teaches you what you could have taken in the class, we'll let you work. But if you come in and take a job as a greeter for Walmart, they're saying, oh, wait a minute, you didn't come here to go to school, you came here to get a job, you got to go.
Okay.
That's the difference. So we're trying to make people understand that it's not the United States, it's not the university, it's the government that says, we let them in as an F1 visa, they got to go to school.
Correct.
If they're going to work, it better be part of the curriculum. That's all it is. As long as now, again, if we say, hey, listen, you can't get the Walmart greeter, but there is an analyst job next door, go get the analyst job, and now it can take the place of one of your jobs, one of your classes. That's all good.
It must be challenging for you so much, because I see so many students from different side of the world. You have to see it. So how do you handle that particular challenge? How do you suggest?
Well,
to
my
students?
job is just to say hi
Okay.
and try to be honest with them. So, where's your resume? Let me take a look at it. Some resumes are really good. Some of you guys coming in have a ton of experience. I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're gonna have no problem. We just got to find out. We got to find where you fit.
Correct.
But you're great. Don't worry about that. Others, they haven't done much yet, so their resume is a little bit more sparse, and we got to figure out how to make that look better than it, not better than it is, but how to get the most out of it that they can, so they get in the right place. But my job is to be honest. I can't lie to somebody, so I got to say, okay, you're not going to get there by doing what you're doing. So I try to be blunt with them and just say that's it. Now, I try to be as nice about it as I can, but sometimes no matter what I say, I've got to make sure they get the point across.
Yeah.
But I've really not had any trouble dealing with whether they're from South Africa or.
How do you do that? I mean, I just want to understand the situation, how you come across. The student, they come to you, they say like, I'm finding a difficulty to getting internship. So you suggest student like, okay, show me your resume.
That's
and then that's how like you do it?
My process is very simple. If someone says I'm having a hard time finding a job, I say, let's meet face to face, set up a time, we'll figure out a time. They come in, I'm 108. I say, okay, show me your resume. We bring it up on a screen. I say, okay, let's talk about your resume first.
Okay.
And I'll go through everything and things I think, look, this is good, move this up, move that here. We'll make some adjustments to the physical resume. I say, okay, now that that's done, let's talk about what do you want to do? Like, are you here as a business analyst? Are you here as a marketing person, accounting, finance? What is it that you're doing?
Okay.
Once
so knowing the interest of the student.
Right. So I need to know where, because they have to be, it's got to be part of your CPT.
Correct.
So I got to find out what direction they're going and say, okay, let's just go real quick on LinkedIn or Indeed and say, internship for finance in New Haven County. We're going to copy one of the job descriptions, throw it into JobScan. I'll put their resume into JobScan and I'll go, bink. You'll see you only got a 24% match. You see, that's why you wouldn't get through. Now you've got to go in and change that to make it work. And I just take them through the process. As long as they follow me through the process, it doesn't matter where you're from. The process doesn't change. So whether you're Indian or South African or Italian or French or Greek, or I've met a bunch of them, the process stays the same. You just have to follow the process. And more than anything else is what you said earlier on, is discipline.
Yeah.
If you're not disciplined, it's hard. It's really hard because you'll work halfway through and go, and then you'll send it out, and there's no chance you're going to get what you want. Instead of you stopped at 50% because you got bored.
Because that, I believe, like by hearing you, these are the basic requirement which you're talking about.
Yeah.
It has to be in the student if they want to work in.
Look, everybody gets lucky every now and then, and for those who do, congratulations. But the vast majority of us, and I never really got lucky. I always had to just work harder than somebody. Doing that resume exactly the way you're supposed to and going through the process. And I do, by the way, I do that myself. I still put a resume for, like, I'll see a job description I like, and I'll do it on just to see how painful it is. I'm like, God, that took me an hour and a half. I couldn't even do more than 2 of those a day.
Yeah,
so when a kid comes in and tells me you've done 14, I'm like, then I have either no stamina or you're lying, or a little bit of both.
Correct.
So it's just discipline. Almost everything is discipline in life. If you do what you're supposed to consistently, success isn't anything other than discipline. If it's habits. If your habits are always, I'm going to do the same thing every day, and my habit level is going to be up here all the time, you're going to be there all the time. But if your habit is, I'm here one day, I'm here the next day, I'm here this day.
It cannot be possible.
So, and the other thing I tell our classes is you can't do this.
Yeah.
If you want to work somewhere, you got to be like this. You got you're good day, bad day, good day. You got to be up here on a consistent basis. If you do this, and they can't trust you because they think, okay, great, we got this out of them, and the next time we get something we can't even use, you're not going to be around there very long. They can't count on you. But if you're doing this, good, bad, you're a 9, a 10, a 9, 10, an 8, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10. They're going to be fine with that. They're going, okay, we can trust him to give us at least this real narrow area. If you're going to do this, it's over. There's just nothing you can do about it. The minute you do this, it's gone. And I've had people give me an email and say, hey, listen, why did you give me an A- on my paper for an internship? And I said, well, it was generic. And I could have just changed the name of the thing at the top. Well, I got an A here, and I don't care what you got an A anywhere else. You didn't get it. I said, plus the fact, damn well, a lot of this came out of ChatGPT. I'm going to argue about it because I gave it to other people. Anytime someone questions me, I immediately send it to a couple other teachers and say, what do you think about this? They all came back, B-, B-, B-. I said, so you're lucky you got me and not somebody else. You know damn well you didn't do what you wanted to do, and you're trying to fight you because you got to have that A+.
Yeah.
No.
So you have to do work.
By the way, one final thing. Look at me. Nobody cares about your A's. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. I'm telling you this right now. Go in, do the best you can. I never, ever, ever in my life, and I've interviewed a whole lot of people, I've never looked at them and said, hey, what'd you get as a grade in global supply chain?
Yeah, nobody asked that.
I will ask you, tell me how a purchasing problem, how does a purchase requisition work? Give me an idea of how it works. Now tell me the process. That's what I'm going to ask. I don't care whether you got the A. I want to know, do you know the process? And I'll teach you our process, but I need to know you know the base process. Quit worrying about your grades. Just quit worrying about them.
And I believe like these companies like Google, Facebook, they are not care anymore about the degrees. They are more about the personality. So when
they're more about
the knowledge.
They're going to ask you a question much worse than I did. Like they're going to give you some crazy answer, like crazy question, and you've got to figure out how to get to the answer. That's what they're worried about. They don't. All that stuff over here, grades, they don't know who graded you. They don't know what the people, they have no idea who I am. Yeah. If I'm an easy grader or a hard grader, they have no idea who Armando is. All they know is I asked you a question and you didn't answer it. Done. Let's move on. Or I asked you a question and you gave me
Correct. They don't even
the right answer.
Give you time to think about it. So
Yeah, if you don't have the answer, they're not going to waste the time with you. That's what they want. So all they want are people who have the knowledge. And if you have the knowledge and you've got a personality you can deal with, you're great.
Mhm.
Everything else is a waste of time. Worrying about that stuff about, whether you could say you had a 4.0 G. Okay, let me give you, for instance, and this is for everybody to realize. My freshman year, you know what my GPA was my freshman year in college in 1976.
okay.
Want to guess?
Well, probably 3.5 or 3.
What do you think?
4 out of 4.
1.8.
Wow.
I had a lot of fun my freshman year. I didn't go. I had a blast. I had more fun my freshman year I ever had. But what did I have to do? I had to go back to summer school and I had to get my grades up or I was going to get kicked out of school.
Yeah.
So I went back to summer school. I got 3 A's,
Mhm.
which got me back up over a 2.0. And from that point on, I kept about a 3.0 the rest of it. I was the vice president of a $2.7 billion organization. I was a director at Pfizer because I was good at my job and I put the time in. Eventually, I was putting in those 100-hour work weeks. Sooner or later, you've got to put in that time. Nobody ever cared that I had a 1.8 my freshman year. Nobody's ever asked.
Mhm.
By the way, I had a blast. Wouldn't do
Yeah.
it. If I went back and do it again, I probably wouldn't have had as much fun. I would have at least kept my grades up a little better.
But what about those companies? They set the criteria. Okay, we need student only for 3.5, 4.0. So I mean, there are certain. That's how
Oh, yeah.
students.
Pfizer was
are-
exactly that way. Pfizer only took the top 1% of everybody. Yeah.
Correct. So that's how students are dying behind okay, I need to get that marks anyhow, any condition. So what do your comment on that?
Again, when you go in and interview with somebody,
Mhm.
if they're really only worried about your grades,
Mhm.
I don't know I'd want to work there, quite frankly, because if all you're worried about is somebody's grades, so hear me out. We've got 5 people in a room. You've all got nothing but 4.0s.
Mhm.
You think I'm going to give you all the highest raise I can give you next year? No, it's going to be a bell curve. Somebody's going to be down here, somebody's going to be up here, and somebody's going to be in the middle.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I got to give you all the best raise because you all got, no, you're all going to get in a bell curve. So even the best, that's what was happening in other organizations. They brought in nobody but the top 1%,
Mhm.
and they still had a bell curve because some people were doing really well.
Mhm.
Most everybody sat here.
Mhm.
Now that may have been moved up,
Mhm.
but they still had people down at the bottom who couldn't keep up because
Right.
the intensity of the competition was too much. And unfortunately, it still breaks out that way. No matter where you're at, that bell curve shows up all the time,
Okay.
every time.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I'd be that concerned. Now, if you're going into academia, that's a whole other ballgame.
Okay.
I'm talking strictly business.
Mhm.
If they're that worried about your grade, I'd really like to talk to those people because I'd just be curious. Now, if they're saying you went to Stanford and they want to know you got a 4.0 at Stanford, I guess that's okay. I don't.
Yeah.
I've never went to Stanford or Penn or
Mhm.
Carnegie Mellon or
Mhm.
pick another one, Harvard, Yale, one down the street here. If that's really important to them, great. And maybe it's best that you graduated from those schools. I don't know if the grade means that much, but I don't know. I could tell you straight up, I've been in business for 40 years before they canned me, and nobody ever asked me my grade. No one ever asked me ever, not one time.
Exactly.
It never came up. Now, I could see it in this respect. If there's 3 people up for a job, they're all really close.
Mhm.
One got a 4.0, one got a 3.5,
That's how
one got
they
3.
can play a role.
Maybe it becomes an issue there, maybe.
Uh-huh.
But I'd still say that, I can work with person A, not with person B. That'd be more that
Okay.
than a 3.0 or 3.5 or a 4.0
Gotcha.
or whatever. I don't. But again, that's an opinion of one. I'm sure there are HR people out there going, don't listen to him, he's an idiot. And they'd be right. Now, there are people who think I am an idiot, and that's fine. But I can tell you straight up, I just never gave a crap about somebody's grade. I did give a crap about how you answered the question.
Okay.
And if you couldn't answer the
Gotcha.
question, I don't care what grade you got.
Mhm.
You didn't answer it right, so
Now let's
Next
talk
subject.
about the collaboration. How University of New Haven is now tons of company, and it's a United States. There are multiple companies. You can see a headquarter, and it's a big company which handle across the globe. What do you think? What are the collaboration ways with university and the industry we do as in University of New Haven?
That's what Leah Hartman's doing. Her job is to kind of attach us to organizations that way. And we're getting a lot of that because a lot of them are coming in and asking us, not big companies, but more of the smaller ones, because they're having a hard time competing because they can't find anybody.
Got it.
It's really funny how people come up to me and say, I can't find a job. And but then I talk to the people who are looking for people. I can't find anybody to fill a position. I'm like, well, how is that possible? So I got guys over here saying they can't find a job, and you're telling me you can't find somebody to fill it. So there's some sort of miscommunication there, or we're making too many of these guys. They need so many of another guy. I don't know, but it's weird that way. So the university is doing more and more of that, and that's Leah Hartman's job. She would be good to have on here, I think. She would be really good at going to the next level. And Think Synergy is a perfect example of that. They're in Hartford, and we're going to be putting a bunch of people in there this summer. And then along with that, I'll be teaching a class at their location for that specific situation. So it should be interesting. So they're going to they have to listen to me and go and do their internship at the same time.
Okay, perfect. Now we are jumping into the next round of podcast. I'm going to say one word to you. Okay. Whatever comes in your head, you have to just pick up and
go ahead.
Okay? So, passion.
Art.
Placement. Yeah.
Right fit.
Okay. Remote job.
By the way, you just want one word answer.
Just
right?
one
Okay,
word.
okay, just make sure. Okay, keep going.
Remote job. Remote job.
Remote job.
Yeah. You can't think that much.
Yeah. The problem I have with remote job is it real?
Real.
Yeah.
Okay. So synergy.
Work together.
Networking.
Needed.
Mentorship.
Needed even more.
Just one word.
Needed more.
Okay,
more.
Workshop.
Good.
Opportunity.
Everywhere.
Deadline.
Omnipotent.
Okay. Internship.
Not required.
Leadership.
Earned.
Okay. University of New Haven.
Thank you.
You.
Yeah, thank them, because I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for them.
Okay. Skill set.
Broad.
Portfolio.
Broad again.
Anthony.
I'm sorry?
Anthony.
Mirror.
Okay. Tell me one place in University of New Haven which you like the most, where you have like one of the good memories.
This place you're in right now. This used to be the old Hubble location, and the location of this place is stunning. I mean, you kidding me? The fact that they actually have me come out here and they gave me an office on top of that is stunning to me. I thought I'd be sitting in my basement the rest of my life just doing some work for everybody, and be it. So the fact that I've got this is stunning. It's a really pretty place. Now, hopefully they'll be able to keep this for an extended period of time and whatever. But this is it's hard to beat this place as far as the scenery. I mean, it really is. And so trust me, if you go around campuses, I've seen a lot of campuses. When my daughter was going around, we went to go see like Wake Forest and Punch Bay. Stunning campus, outrageous. But boy, this is pretty hard to beat, this one right here. So
okay.
I'm very happy with it.
Okay. So would you like to give the final advice or any suggestion to student who's hearing you?
I'm one man's opinion. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. But if I give you any advice, I've already given it. Patience, discipline, do the right thing consistently, make it a habit. If you're habitually doing the right thing, everything will work out for you as time goes on.
Thank you. So with this, we'll see you next time with next guest, next suggestion. Till then, watching Igniting Minds. Bye.